Twitch, what's his name? Twitch Boss.
Twitch, yeah.
The untimely death on Twitch Boss. And I got to remember that I'm on TikTok as well. They don't like certain words, so I'll say the unaliving of Twitch Boss.
I've met him. I've met him several times.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I followed him for a long time.
So he was in the competitive dance.
You saw him on So You Think You Can Dance.
Yeah, and so Sage has taken classes from him.
A friend of mine
Yeah.
was tried out for that movie and
Yeah.
met them.
Yeah.
A lot of those.
He was, and here's the sad part about mental illness. Mental illness is such a undercover thing because the happiest people are the people that typically have it.
I keep seeing that a lot on TikTok. People going, there has to be more. I don't think.
Like they can't believe it.
I think it's fake. And not fake that
No.
it didn't happen, but like
Fake that.
somebody's covering things up, and it's like, but that's the
No.
point we're trying to make. Is
Yeah,
that you don't understand.
Yeah, mental illness is an undercover.
You don't get it.
The thing that people show you on social media is only 1% of the whole story. 99% of it is something totally different.
He talked about his own mental wellness and his own mental illness.
I saw another lady post today about her husband, and she was like, guys, she'd been posting about this for quite some time, like way before this even happened, but she was reiterating it. She's like, you've seen my videos that I've posted of my husband on a daily basis. Nothing but jokester, smiles, playing with the kids. And he unalived himself, and there was nothing. So there were no signs. There was nothing. This was him every day. So when you were seeing this and going, this doesn't make sense. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're saying. You don't, most of us don't see it. She was like, I didn't see it. I didn't know. He never said a word. I didn't know.
I got that a lot with people who didn't know about, my late wife's mental illness, and they just, because she was the life of the room, the life of the party. She was always the happiest person in the area, and constantly telling jokes and constantly trying to make other people happy. That was her goal in life, was to make other people happy.
People said about Robin Williams. He's a comedian.
Yes, and
his job on a daily basis was to make people laugh.
Yes,
nobody had any idea that
he was suffering.
Wasn't smiling on the inside.
Exactly.
It's called the sad clown.
Yeah. And unless you're living in it with them, and you're seeing the daily struggles and the daily suffering and the hardships that they go through just to exist in a comfort space, you don't really know what they're struggling with. And it's a hard reality that the happiest people typically are the ones that are suffering the most.
Right.
And it is very saddening to see. Just a few days ago they had an anniversary and posted loving, happy videos,
and they were their family life was so displayed and beloved, and I know everyone's feeling that, and I feel horrible for his wife and children. Grief is going to be difficult, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be confusing, and then just going through grief, and then having children going through grief, that is not a cocktail I would wish upon anybody. It is difficult it's easier when you yourself are removed from the situation to the point where you can help your children. The most things that you teach your children throughout life are, you've already gone through it, you've become an adult, you've sat in it, you understand it. Well, when you're going through grief, you're all experiencing everything at the same time, and you're supposed to be able to be this leader for your children, to be able to be this person to show an example of what they're supposed to do, and that's hard to do when you're going through grief. It's hard to manage. That's hard to present to your own kids who don't know what to do. They have no idea what grief is.
They've got two little ones who it's kind of hard to explain.
Yep.
And then also a teen
who is very much going to struggle.
Right.
And it's also Christmas.
Yep. Which is going to make their holiday seasons for the rest of their
lives tainted,
very difficult. Yeah. I can say, the one solace that I always found that was comforting to me, because that's the hardest part, is finding comfort for the people that are still around, is that I found comfort in that Mandy was no longer in pain. She was choosing to no longer be in pain. And that was my comfort in what the outcome was. And that was the only thing that I was able to create.
If it's okay for me to ask, if you say she chose, is that what happened?
Yeah. Mandy unalived herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something that is it's a different sort of grief path.
I mean, and he clearly thought enough to make sure that he wasn't at home.
Yes, and that was my
He
next
left
thing. He left and he went to a hotel
else.
and he did do it somewhere else, which is, it's a consideration and in something that I know a lot of people consider as very selfish. And yes, I understand why they feel it's selfish, because the person who has left the consequences isn't around to deal with the consequences. And I get that. And in those moments, they aren't able to rationalize that or understand that because they're not in a rational mindset.
I can't fathom that. And I was partially there as well, because I think of my children, my sons and my daughter and my stepchildren as well. But at the same time, I can't put my life and my history and my struggles and compare it with his as well. And I for a split second I thought of that too. Well, like, dude, you're doing this for you because of your pain, but what are you doing to your children's pain? Because I'm thinking about my children's pain, but at the same time, I don't know what I would do to myself if I had his pain and his struggles and whatnot too. So I thought that same thing for a split second, and then I stopped because I'm not that guy that's like, I can't be what I said in certain situations. Don't be more offended than the person that's actually going through it.
Well, that's why it's an illness.
Correct.
While for most of us, regardless of what could be happening in our lives, there's nothing that would make us do that. That's why it's an illness, because
everybody in the world
they can't get past in their minds all the good or whatever else. They can't get past that in their minds. And so to them, this feels like this is the only answer. This is the only way.
And I'm paraphrasing this, but I forgot how the quote goes. But everybody in the world is going through a struggle that you are like unaware of. Everyone that you meet, when you first encounter somebody that whether it's a happy moment or a sad moment or it's a fight or something like whatever it is, every stranger that you meet for the first time, they are all going through something that you are unaware of. That
it's the same. It's the stuff that they just tell everybody in general. You can look on social media and Facebook all you want and see, like, oh, I want to be just like them. They live
that's the stuff that that's the stuff that they chose to show you.
And it's like, that's everybody. That's still a picture. That's still
I'm just pissed off that it didn't take long for people to start being like, well is this Ellen's fault?
Conspiracies
the conspiracy.
Already. Like, oh Lord, man, it's only been a few hours.
People lack couth anymore, and in these situations, you need to have couth. And for some reason, people seem to throw that out the door for their own benefit, and that's just such an unfortunate thing.
I think because they have a hard time grasping that this is an illness, and they are also looking at his life and saying, "You have a perfect life."
He didn't have a perfect life. He had a life.
No, exactly. But they're looking at it as a filter and saying, oh, there's no reason why he would do this. So
based on the stuff that they chose to show you on social media.
Some, terrible thing that is being hidden, instead of saying he had an illness. That's the whole point.
I joked about with the whole DC thing with James Gunn and stuff. I joked about how with Henry Cavill being fired and all this bad stuff that's happening with on that part of it. I don't know how, but somehow this is all Ezra's fault. That was a joke that I made. Obviously, it's not, but I mean, but that so for this serious situation where Twitch decided to to unalive himself, and then people go, I don't know how, but somehow this is Ellen's fault. Like that. Like, come on, you guys got to stop doing that. It's that it's bad enough. I know people that are fans of his want to rationalize this and find out and find meaning behind things, but demonizing people. We need to stop as a society. Stop trying to find ways to demonize people. She's rich and she's famous, so it's okay to demonize Ellen. No, it's not. She's still a human being. We need to stop doing that. We gotta stop. I don't like the fact that the person on that thing that show that I didn't really care about, but the one thing that I did like about it was him, and now he's gone. So I gotta find a way to blame Ellen. When Ellen started to get the bad press and the things that Ellen has a lot of things on her plate for the things that she's actually guilty of. And we've all seen that happen in real life, in real time, and on social media. But that doesn't mean that we need to now then demonize her and pin this on her as well. These are two separate things. He was going through something that we don't know 100% about. We might not ever know about. Maybe it'll be revealed later. But whatever his struggles were, is that, and the drama that was going on behind the scenes of the show that he did with Ellen is a separate thing. Stop trying to fuse those things together and demonize.
Here's the real truth to everything. The real truth, basic, simple, unapologetic, and raw. It is no one's fault for what happened to him other than himself. He chose it. And
Right.
as much pain as he was in, that's what he chose to do. And
To end that pain.
And as sucky as that may seem, and as realistic and as blunt as that may seem, that's the truth. It's no one's. It's not his wife's fault. It's not his kid's fault. It's not the
Yes.
stress of life's fault. It's not his work's fault.
Exactly.
None of those things are at fault. The only person who chose this path was him.
Right.
He is the only one to blame. And his struggles were his. And he had every reason and valid reason to have his feelings and to feel what he felt. He chose this. It's a
And
sad truth.
Everyone he knows, from wife, friend, brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles, mamas, will somehow try to find I shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yep. Or blame someone else.
And I
blame
just
themselves
wish
to prevent these things. I've had uncles.
I wish them all some peace.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had uncles who did the same thing. I said on this channel before, on a certain situation, there was an uncle of mine who unalived himself because this was a man who, when I was a little boy, he helped raise me. He's one of my favorite uncles, and he got high with his girlfriend. And in that, I forgot what drug it was. Maybe I think it was meth, but or cocaine. And when they did that, he had a bad reaction to it, and he killed his girlfriend who was with him doing the same thing at the same time with him. And when he was arrested for it and released, and they were investigating whether or not it was what happened, because his story was that people came in and they did it. But when the police investigated it and the evidence came out, nobody was there. You were the only one that was there. And when it came out that he actually was the one who did it, he decided to unalive himself. This is my favorite uncle, one of my favorite uncles. And before he did it, he called my grandmother and he told her, because before he did what he was about to do to himself, he wanted somebody, and that was my grandmother, to believe the story that he had to come up with, that it was a third party that did it. But all the evidence pointed out that it was actually him, that he had a bad reaction to the drugs they were doing, and he unalived his girlfriend. And when he realized what he did, he took his own life. But he had to tell my grandmother, he had to make sure that he unalived himself telling my grandmother that he was 100% innocent. And when my grandmother shared that with me, I listened to my grandmother, and I let her tell her. But I knew that that wasn't how it actually happened because that's not what the evidence said it. So when people do those things, I'm going to end the TikTok live thing now. When people do that, there's a bunch of reasons why people do that. I might not be able to see that now. I might not be able to see it for myself. I wouldn't do that to myself, but who knows what I would do in a certain situation. And I just it's just to me it's just sad that it gets to that point. But I can't say that. What am I trying to say? I can't say that I blame people for we're the ones who are around after when we're sitting around feeling like, you know, how can they do this? But then we put ourselves into their shoes, going if we were in their shoes, you know, what would we do? So I'm not gonna blame him for doing what he did, my uncle for doing what he did, or for your ex-wife for doing what they did. But back in the day, I used to be like, I used to say that to myself, like that was selfish. But now that as I'm older and I can see it, I'm like, I don't say that anymore because I don't know what I would do.
The act itself, being selfish, is not necessarily a negative thing. It's just a definition of an act. Mm-hmm. It's not negative nor positive. It's just an act. Mm-hmm. Doing it is absolutely selfish in the moment. It absolutely is. It's a selfish act. Mm-hmm. There's nothing against that. That doesn't make it like absolutely negative. What it tells you is in that moment that there was nothing else that this person could think of. There was nothing else that this person could fathom being.
No other solution that they could.
Another solution. It's just the way their brain makeup was in that moment, and that's what that illness is. And it's not even a matter of trying to necessarily understand where they are. It's just having compassion and empathy for the people that are in those positions and understanding that compassion
100%.
And understanding how to accept and create safe places where people can go, okay, I feel this way. I'm needing help with feeling this way. Yeah. And mental illness being an actual thing that people need to deal with on a regular basis. Making it more accessible and therapy more accessible and affordable to everyone, because that's the biggest freaking part about mental illness right now. Just going through it with my late wife, who was bipolar, PTSD, OCD, ADHD, and all diagnosed, and being able to afford the doctors and the treatments and the appropriate therapies, and just it's not accessible.
It's not, and
it's the worst.
Also believing people when they say I'm even if they're saying not necessarily saying I want to unalive myself, but just saying I'm not okay.
Yeah.
People are very quick to be like, oh, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you.
But that doesn't, and it's,
and
everything could be fine.
Right.
It could be a chemical imbalance.
We need to be able to accept when someone says, I need a break, or I need a day, or whatever they need because I'm not okay. That's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that.
I absolutely 100% agree. It's so frustrating to have these situations where people are like, I don't want to say that I'm not having a good day or that I'm thinking this, because then somebody's going to judge me or think that I need extreme help, when in fact maybe they need just someone to listen. Maybe they just need someone to understand that, yes, my feelings are valid, that yes, I am empathetic to what you're going through, or yes, that absolutely just sucks. It just sucks. Just saying it sucks sometimes. Yeah. Instead of giving a solution. Sometimes people don't even want a solution. They just want to hear that it sucks and what they're going through sucks. And going, hey, if you need help, here's, a professional that's accessible and available. And if more people had that information and more people had friends or people that they could go to that had that information and it became such a normal thing, then we wouldn't have all these issues. But it's just so taboo that talking about it is hard. And I hate that just talking about it is hard. So, yeah.
Well, guys, let us know what you guys think about the news that Twitch boss is no longer with us. And if you have any stories you want to share about with his life and what he meant to you on social media, because I didn't know that you that you had that experience with him. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you shared that with us here on the rundown. So guys, let us know what you guys think about that topic, and let's talk about it on the upcoming We Got Your Mail.
Guys, that's the end of this episode of The Rundown. Remember to like this video, become a subscriber, and share. This really does help us out. And click here or here. Thanks for watching.